Well, I want to welcome everybody back. Welcome everybody back to the relaxing and smooth tones of Ted and Karl's Cigar Hour. So, I want to take the time to put a disclaimer together for anybody that's under 18 or 21, depending on your state and the tobacco laws and everything. This is not something that children should be watching. Karl and I take very seriously that we do not. Mandate that smoking is good for you at all. We enjoy it. We're adults. And if you are a child or under 18, please go to another venue. This is not the channel for you. So having said that, Karl, welcome. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, I have been a counselor. I have been an IT professional. I have been and am a writer. And now a cigar aficionado of 40 years now.
Man of many talents. So what do you like about cigars? What's the draw, so to speak? Pardon the pun.
Like a pipe, they're very relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike a pipe, they're very easy to carry with you and light up and have on a car voyage. And to carry around. So that's
the mobility. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, yeah. I agree with you. What are you smoking today? What you smoking, Karl?
This is a Ramon Bueso.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably had those before.
Yep. Very good. Oh yeah. Excellent.
Got a good deal on these guys.
Where did you get that? Where did you get the deal?
That was Cigars International.
Very good. Yeah.
I buy from them, Famous Smokes and Cigar.com.
Mm-hmm.
I spread it around, spread the love amongst going to other tobacconists in the area.
Sure.
This one had a good deal because not only was the box of cigars, but it has this huge, heavy lighter that came with it. And that thing is hefty.
That's cool. Is that a Lotus on the outside? That's cool.
Or I think it might be a tobacco plant. It's supposed to be.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's kind of a
that's a kind of
cross.
It looks more like a Lotus.
Yeah, that's cool. Very, very cool. So how long today have you been smoking that one? Is that how long is the smoke on those?
Let's see here. I brought out a unsmoked one as an
got
example. And so I've got about half an hour maybe into this one.
Very good.
Maybe a little longer. I once was told by someone that the cigar should spend just as much time in the ashtray as it does in your mouth.
That's a good point. Yeah. I can understand that.
Well, I've got some pinch penny blood in me though, and I'm like, no, it's going to spend 3/4 of the time in my
mouth. Right. Well, when you're driving too, it's a little different. I know when I'm in when I'm in my van and that driving long distance, I'll where we're from, everything is it's not the mileage, it's how many hours away are you from, right? Mm-hmm. So is this a 1 cigar trip? Is this a 2 cigar trip? And it drives my wife crazy, but it ends up being it's a very relaxing ride for me, ironically. So more so than even when you're dealing with we don't deal with it anymore, but rush hour traffic. Having a cigar, I would be a lot more relaxed in that environment than I would be normally. So are you pairing anything today? Are you pairing it up with coffee or anything in particular?
I had some coffee earlier. Now I'm just into Coca-Cola.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. That's good.
It's not a great pairing, but it works.
No, I understand that. Well, and this is what it's about. It's about relaxing, taking the 5 minutes of your day, or excuse me, the 45 minutes of your day, and just smelling the roses, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'll have one of the things about my YouTube channel is it's sponsored by a roasting company, Indian River Roasting, and we try to pair up good cigars with good coffee, and that was one thing that your palate's different. So, like I said, I sent you some coffee. So the next show that we do, we'll have to figure out what you're drinking as well, and what I'm drinking. And I like Jameson too, Jameson and Verner's with a good cigar, and I like a glass of water with cigar too. It just depends. It really just depends on the time of day. I do like cold brew coffee. I'm finding myself out about that now that the
Okay.
cold brew is I just tried it a couple days ago, and it's fantastic. Which also is from Indian River Roasting, which is great. Which I'm looking forward to pairing that up. Today, because our weather isn't, it's getting a little cloudy here, and I'm not going to go outside and smoke it, and due to my, my antique book collection and everything else, I don't want to smoke in the house right now. So, and that's not what this is about. This isn't even really about smoking. It's about enjoying the idea of cigars and the whole substance around cigars. What I'm actually looking at another Cohiba today. That one is a Nicaragua, and it's not really large. It's just a nice smoke. It's probably you're probably dealing with about an hour smoke on that one.
Yeah.
You were talking about curing these. I'll usually wait to open them. I usually keep the plastic in hand just so that we've got that.
Exactly.
But normally what I would do is I would put them in a carrying case like this. The carrying case.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
It's a little bit, it just goes to show you it's leather lined or suede lined, I guess. But they're nice because you can, they're durable. You can put them in your back pocket. If they don't crush easily. And that's something about with cigars when they're traveling, you've got to be wise of it, because you don't want to have, some firmness to it, but not overkill, because that's that's not a good. You want to elaborate a little bit more on that as far as what you've noticed over the years in cigars?
Oh yes, I had a leather case for a while too, and sadly it didn't fit like the Churchills that I like, which are the real long ones, or the real fat ones I like.
Yeah.
So Donna uses that now when she goes out. When we talk more about humidors, I'll show you my travel humidor.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
It's one of those crush-proof things, like you could carry ammunition and weapons.
Oh really?
In.
Okay.
Yeah,
it looks like an ammunition case. Wow.
Yeah, it does.
That's cool.
That's cool. And those vary as to how many cigars you can get in there at a time, and it's also a good way if you get too many cigars to fit your regular humidor. You can move some over into that temporarily.
Right. And how long do you normally store? I know that you're like me, because we smoke them. I don't keep them in the humidor that long. But what's your normal duration? A week, maybe?
How long does it take for me to get from the downstairs to up here to open the box? I'm not good at aging cigars. And you'll hear people that say, well, I aged them a year or whatever.
Yeah. I know people that 3 or 4 months. It's like, what? How can you stand to have that deliciousness not ready? You know what I mean? And I sometimes I just don't feel like having a cigar either. I mean, sometimes I want to breathe the lake air, early morning. I don't want to. And even now, it's 1 o'clock here now that we're taping, and it's still a little bit early for me. I usually like to have them around 4 or 5 o'clock, and that's that's downtime a little bit. The sun's just starting to go down. It's not as hot in the day. And that's that's just my thing. But I know people, much like yourself, that smoke them all day long. I remember a guy I used to caddy for. He would smoke at 7 o'clock in the morning. Opus X's, I think he smoked.
Wow!
Opus X. Yeah, it was like a $30 cigar. The guy it was crazy. He tipped very well, very well.
I guess
very good guy. But he smoked 3 of those a day.
Oh yeah,
every day. I don't know if he's still alive. I doubt it, but he lived under his terms, and he did. He did his way. So
my grandfather smoked cigars almost all day, and white owls.
Owls. Tell me about those. What were white owls?
White owls are like one of the cheapest cigars you can get. It's like a Philly or a Dutch Masters type
or something.
Yeah, and they're all machine made. And so it wasn't the greatest tobacco in the whole world, but he smoked those all the time, drank a lot, did a lot of physical labor, lived till 82. Then at his funeral, we found out he had 2 girlfriends. I mean, the guy.
Opportune time to find that out. But
no, not really. But he was burning his cigar at both ends, I guess, and he lived to be 82. So I'm hopeful.
God bless him. my grandfather, he smoked a pipe. I never met my grandfather, but he always had a hole burnt into his pocket, from what I was told, from where he used to put his pipe, and there would be a little bit of tobacco left.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's, but I never got into, like you were saying, the pipe tobacco. We had a neighbor when I was growing up in Detroit, had this tremendous tobacco. You could smell it 2 or 3 houses down. It was so aromatic. It was such a great smell. And every once in a while, I'll go into a tobacco shop. I'll smell it every once in a while. I ask what it is. Of course, I forget the title of it. But that is a real art form, because the way that you draw on that type of tobacco, you could burn your roof of your mouth, your throat. There's no filter. It's like boom. It's straight to it. And that was one thing I just didn't enjoy. I maybe it was the wrong, and I just didn't really have the patience for it. I wanted to have the flavor, but I didn't want to have that burn.
Well, like cigars, pipe tobacco is mixed.
Yes.
And if you don't get the mix quite right, it can be a very fiery experience, and you get that tongue bite, is what they call it.
Yeah, that's right. Now, tell everybody about the tobacco, the best tobacco, the second best tobacco, and so forth. Where do they go? Do they go into the cigars? Do they go into piping? Where do they go?
From what I've seen, the best tobacco goes into cigars because they have to look nice. They have to look nice on this outside. As you're smoking them and cutting them, as we saw last time, you can see the construction of it. So you can tell, this tobacco doesn't look right. So this has to look great. In pipe tobacco, they can take some of the things that don't make it into cigars, cut that into little bitty strips or little bitty pieces, and that makes up the pipe tobacco.
Okay.
What they have left after that, that's what goes into cigarettes. So, you do have a quality.
Right. All the chemicals and everything else that they use to.
And it also explains the cost of, a good cigar as opposed to pipe tobacco, which is a little cheaper per smoke, versus cigarettes, which are much cheaper per smoke.
We've gone back and forth. My wife, she says, you got to take it easy on smoking the cigars or whatever. She says, if you are going to smoke them, she said, I want you to get the best that you can get, quality wise. I don't want you ingesting anything that's not. We already know what nicotine that can do, or what have you, what tobacco can do. I'm very much a believer in everything in moderation. So, with that, that was part of you're gonna, if you're a novice and you don't know anything about cigars, which I'm still learning. I know Karl's still learning. That's what this show is about, is just to broaden the viewpoint just a little bit. Yeah. But as far as hand rolled tobacco and hand rolled cigars, I think that you were saying that one that were machined, the other one that your grandfather.
Yes, they're made by a machine.
Right. And that, the hand rolling that we enjoy with our cigars, it costs more because there's a lot more labor involved.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And but with that, there's also it's an art form, but it's also it's a nurturing thing. If you have a true artisan that can make these, I would rather pick a good quality product. I'd rather get prime rib versus a hamburger at McDonald's. You know what I mean? That's essentially what I end up equating it to. Now, as far as we just saw how you lit your cigar. I usually use a cutter. I know that you've got a couple of different ways to do it, and we're going to go further as we continue on with the show in the future. We're going to have different ways of cutting the cigar, different products, punches, and what have you.
You probably have like one of these guys.
Right. I got that one here.
Guillotine.
Right. These ones, this one is. These ones are the ones that you can get for a couple bucks at the, and that's. Exactly. I think these are nice because I can throw them in the car. I can have them there. They're not anything really expensive. If it gets stolen, fine. Or if it gets damaged, fine. And we've had, I've had ones that they just get dull over time.
And they do. And like this one, I got free with a box of cigars.
Right.
It's got the camo. It's all fancy, but
it's cool.
That doesn't matter.
Right.
It still can cut. Now you can open it up part way, and if you have one of those um, things like you sharpen your Thanksgiving knife on,
Yep.
you can actually go across here and sharpen these.
Oh, you can. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
If you want to,
You know, I'm
to do
thinking
it,
that they're like disposable, like X-Acto knives is what I'm thinking. So,
most of
but yeah,
them
you're
are.
probably right. You're probably right. You probably could do that. One
Now,
of
if
the
if
the
you go
gauge. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you go a little further, like if you have those big fat cigars,
Yeah.
the big ones won't fit in. Then a cigar tool like this, which is cutting like a scissor,
Yeah.
is
You
which
probably
one?
get pretty good leverage with that one. These ones, they've got good leverage, but
Mhm.
I've got the one on. Let's see. This one's larger than this one, and
Ah,
depends on your gauging of how you're going to be doing too. The gauge on a lot of these cigars vary. You've got some that
yes.
are and they're labeled, and I know that people once you get involved with using cigars or enjoying cigars, you're going to find out that you're going to find out what works for you. I know a lot of the bigger ones I don't like. I just it's just not. They're just not. I'd rather have something that's more suitable, easier to carry.
Oh yeah.
And you know this I don't know offhand what this Cohiba gauge is. I'm assuming,
Looks like it's in the 50s,
yeah, I
maybe.
was going to say
Yeah.
50. So they're not, and I would urge you to check out if you're looking at getting into smoking cigars. Find out what just the terminology. There's certain gauges. There's certain types of tobacco. Obviously, do you light with a butane lighter or do you light it with wood matches? I usually use wood match unless we're out on the beach and it's hard to light. I might ask for somebody's lighter. And I think we talked about that on the prior video, but there's so many different options.
Oh yes.
The biggest thing about it is just to enjoy it.
Exactly.
One of the other things we talked about in the last video was how big is your ash? I don't really, and that's something that with a lot of these hand rolled cigars, if they are done properly, you should get at least about an inch to inch and a quarter ash off of some of these. I've had that. Some of these burn down and they make a huge ash to where it's almost a here.
Oh yeah.
Before they fall, and not in a good wind, of course, but that's normal. I mean, flicking off a cigarette is one thing. I've seen people, they get just a little bit of ash and they're flicking off their cigarette. With these, you don't. It's more the art form as far as the whole process of smoking a cigar. So now, what is your take on punching versus cutting versus what do you prefer when you're smoking a cigar?
The cut does give you more space that's exposed, and that will get a cooler smoke.
Well, it burns faster too, though.
It does burn a little faster.
So, you could cut down your smoke time.
I have two punches, but this one came on a really neat lighter, and
Cool.
I flip up the bottom here, and then you can see that there's a punch on there.
That's cool.
And I would take that, and I'm going to go ahead and punch another one here because this was almost done, right?
Yep.
I'll prepare tonight's smoke here. Okay, another Ramon Buesos.
Excellent.
Let's do that, and I will very carefully. Now, normally I'll wet this.
Yeah, right.
Not if you're borrowing somebody's punch, but
Right.
And then I roll it around back and forth. Because if you just try to punch it down in there, you will shatter that cigar. It will go everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just want to do it very slowly and easily.
Methodically. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because it's called a punch doesn't mean
don't go full bore. Yeah.
And you end up with a little hole like that.
Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay.
And then the rest stays in here until you close it, and that flips out into your ashtray, clean as a whistle.
Awesome.
And I don't have a lot of hanger on stuff usually.
Sure. Now that allows you to then it doesn't unravel the cigar. The way the cigars are wrapped, there's it's an ingenious format, but you have on the top ridge, you've got, I don't know if you can see that or not. On the top ridge, you see the way that the roll is, and when you handle it the way you did with the punch, you don't have that unraveling, so to speak. Now with mine, I do the same thing. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this cigar probably after the storm from that pass. So
Yeah.
what I do is I'll just take, if you look at the top here and there's a little bit of a tab of tobacco, you see how it's like almost like just a little tiny bit.
Cap. Yeah.
Now I usually will take and same thing, unless it's somebody else's cutter.
Right.
Don't do that. But I usually just take that part. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah.
A little tricky, but because I'm wearing black.
Yeah.
If you just take just the top part of it off, I'll show you here.
Mhm.
That's what I usually do. Now with this, I'll hold on to the top. Don't
No,
don't
do
cut
not.
your finger. Don't cut your finger. Watch what you're doing. Okay, you can hear that clip.
Yeah.
And that's just enough.
Yeah.
That's what I find. That's just enough to where that's enough for me. Now, some people don't like that. Some people like, because they don't like getting, any type of tobacco. And that's what's nice about the punch, is because you can, you don't have that. You can see the somewhat of a mess that this caused. It's not too bad, but you can see it's just a little bit.
Not bad.
And then we throw that in the ashtray or throw it in the garbage, what have you.
And that's part of the reason you do wet it first a little
Absolutely,
bit.
right.
If
And
you
I
try
know
that
that.
dry and the cigar's dry.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Forget
it can split across the top.
Right, and you end up ruining it.
Yeah.
Or ruin the experience. You don't necessarily ruin it. I've seen guys that actually have taken these and cut them almost down to here,
Yeah.
which is it's okay, but I think it's not smart because it unravels. You get a lot of bit tobacco on your teeth, and it's just not a pleasant way of going. I
Well,
think,
it depends on, are you a dry smoker or a wet smoker too?
Right.
See, some people, they have a rather dry cigar. If you touched it like mine now, it's kind of dry. It's in the middle, maybe.
Right.
It's not terribly dry, but it's not sopping wet. But sometimes you'll have people that'll have like almost like they've slobbered on it. And you're like, what the heck?
Well, over time, and as we enjoy our scotch and that during the course of the evening, it does happen that way. Unfortunately,
Sure it does.
you're I know I'm a chewer. I'll chew the top of it. And it's just part of the. I don't know. It's just part of having. That's just it. That's just part of enjoying it, I guess. I know writers that they don't light a cigar at all. They'll wait until after they're done with what they needed to do for the day. They cut it, or some of them do cut it first, and they will chew on the cigar.
Yes, I've seen that too.
All day while they're writing, and then it's their payoff. It's their payoff to the end of the day, and then they go out and they smoke it because they can't smoke in the house because they promised their wife or their significant other the same as I have. Whether you got antiquated books here or not, it's you have a definite advantage for your library in that being able to smoke.
My library mostly is downstairs. I do have some rarish books back here, but I have sealed them up in plastic bags.
Way to do it, right? That's the way
that
to do it.
have been sealed for 30 years. So
Gotcha.
You do what you have to do.
Right. Now, I've had some people, and this is something I wanted to bring up, and this is probably a good time.
Yeah.
I've had some people say that they stopped smoking because of COVID, because of the risk that they're already having problems breathing. They feel that they have problems breathing. They don't want to exacerbate the whole deal. And just, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it depends on how much you enjoy the cigar and how much it really makes you cough more.
Right.
I've had a tickle in my throat since I was a teenager, so I've always been a cougher. And if I laugh, I cough. The cigar sometimes will make that a little worse, but often I can overcome that. And sometimes it makes me feel better and makes me stop coughing for a while.
Right. So, and I've found that too. And I've heard people that have said that about cigarettes, that, what was it? I think that when they had a cold or what have you, and they used the menthol cigarettes, it ended up opening up. I thought that was a really weird.
Your sinuses, yes.
That was really weird that they said that. I'm like, well, okay, I can probably imagine that.
The warmth of it right under your nose here. You're breathing in some warm. Yeah, I can see that.
One of the things that I said to the person that was talking about the COVID thing, I said, well, are you smoking and are you around many, many people? Are you in are you in a group of people? And they're like, well, I'm thinking that people are outside the stores smoking. I'm like, okay, in my type of environment, I'm really only around, very few people as it is.
Right.
I've exposed myself to a little bit more lately just because of getting out of the house and everything else. But with that, I'm not smoking around masses of people. I might have a cigar around my wife or neighbors that I've been around already, in our niche,
Sure. Yeah.
And that was something that I said to them: if you're exposing yourself, regardless whether you're smoking or not, it's going to affect you. So you're going to have to. It may affect you. I hope it doesn't, but you need to, feel what you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to smoke and use that as an excuse, that's cool too. I have no problem with that at all.
We're not going to force
it. This isn't about picking up a habit. This is about just enjoying a single cigar, and then finding out, what you might like. Because I don't want you to go and be afraid when you're going into a smoke shop, thinking that they're going to inundate you with questions or they're going to make fun of you because you don't know. And that's not what the show's about.
Never seen that happen ever.
I haven't either. I've had a few instances where, on like a Saturday afternoon, you go in and there's a football game on in certain smoke shops in Detroit, and they're very, they don't know, they don't like new people coming in. They want new people to come in, but they're still, they like the crowd, they like their group, and I get that, and a lot of the times the people that are there, are watching the game. They're actually getting away from somebody or something, their family, whatever. So they have time for, that's their cave. They're so right. And that's great. I'm just, I don't know. But when, and they're a lot of them are, they all know each other. It's good networking because a lot of people, there's a lot of professionals that do it, that enjoy good cigars. But in that, I just don't want people to feel like they're, and that's what the show is about. Make them feel that they're uncomfortable. I would rather them go out or order a cigar online, learn how to cut it, learn how to light it, and just enjoy it. Don't inhale it though. Just enjoy the flavor. Right. Just enjoy the flavor.
Sometimes cigar shops will also have like an open house sort of thing, or a cigar event. Especially if they have like a distributor coming through.
Right. I know a lot of them do that with coffee. They have local roasters come in, and they do a local whiskey event, local brew house or what have you. And I think those are great. And those are good mixers too, because you can, you can find out what you want. I like the fact that a lot of the tobacco shops also offer their own signature blend. I like that too. They've got ones like, what was the one that we were talking about? It looks like a barber pole.
The zebra.
Yeah,
that's
zebra.
Benny's. Benny's has those.
We've got Smokies down in Detroit. I think it was called Smokies. It was years ago. They had that where they had their own, and they would sell out of them. They had ones that were spiral, and then at the end it looked like a root. It was all like 6 different. It looked really wild.
Yeah.
Those off or something. I didn't know why. It looked really gnarly, but they sold out of them. They put them on the shelf and they're gone.
Yeah, I've gone into a fairly well stocked shop that was having a sale on those. Bought a couple of them. Gone back the next week, they're gone
already.
And I'm thinking, how many people are actually coming in here? But I'm sure that someone just came in and said, I'll take half of them, and somebody else said, I'll take the other half, and they were gone. Yeah.
What do you smoke outside, or do you just smoke in the house and in the car? Do you go out? Do you do anything like that? Or
sometimes I will not do it while I'm mowing because of the gas.
Right.
I've seen people do it, but no, thank you. So in the car driving somewhere, outdoors, if I'm hanging around or cleaning out the car.
Right.
I hate to go out and have to clean out the car, but if I have a cigar with me, it makes it a little easier to do,
Right. I'm usually trying to get the cigar smell out when I'm cleaning the van because it's, drives Christine crazy. So,
we have those Armor All wipes. With a picture of the Viking on them. Those do a great job of cleaning the inside of your windshield to get rid of the cigar smoke.
Gotcha.
Just a little pro tip there for people.
Really, and they don't smudge the inside of the window.
It's especially for glass.
It is excellent. Good. We were I was reading an article about wax, and I've seen people use wax in the interior of their, which I
Oh,
thought was really weird. I
yeah.
thought that it would fog up, because anti-fog is more important, I would think. The Rain-X company makes a
Yeah.
inside one that you can use on the interior because of the nicotine and that come off of the cigars.
Right.
I have a hazy windshield, and that's something that I'll look into for what.
If you're doing it right, the thing comes away a little brownish.
Oh yeah, right.
So, okay. Yeah, you just clean that off, and then my wife is happy for a while. She smokes in the car too, though.
Got it.
So
we don't do that. Chris doesn't smoke, so it's kind of and that's cool. I dig that, and I wouldn't smoke around her anyway, like in that environment.
Yeah.
In a closed air environment like that. It's just an argument waiting to happen. I don't want to do that to her. So
for sure.
Now, when people are purchasing their first cigars or say that they've gotten into they find out what they like, I'm still a big proponent of samplers. I think that like Cigar International has some great buys on different samplers. I mean, you're spending, once you invest maybe 30 or 40 bucks, you're spending maybe $3 or even less, $3 a piece for some of the best smokes I've ever had.
Oh yeah, exactly.
What do you suggest as far as do you suggest samplers? Do you suggest just one-ons, just going in and buying one or two, seeing what you got?
Oh, I will go in and buy one or two if I'm in a new neighborhood and I see the shop. Oh, I've got to stop here and buy a couple just to try.
Check out their humidor. We talked about that on the last video. If you haven't seen that, you need to listen to that. No rainforest humidifier or humidor. If it's a rainforest, get away running. Yep.
Exactly. But I usually go by either samplers, or once I find one I like, I might buy a box of those.
Okay.
And then I intersperse it with samplers. So you're kind of talking about aging the cigars. I do it accidentally.
Okay.
I will put a bunch of them in the humidor, and then I'll smoke a different one each day.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
That way, something is always aging, and I rotate those a little bit. So they do age a little bit. But, I will buy them in all different ways. And samplers are a great way, though, to find out what you like.
Right.
Because you'll get maybe 5 or 6 cigars, and you'll say, "Ooh, I really like that one."
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't like that one."
Yep.
And sometimes it's all the same brand. I mean, like you said, Cohiba. You can have 3 really great Cohibas, and then the 4th one you go, "Oh my God, and somebody else will love it, but it's not
your palate." Absolutely. And that's something too. It's like a good wine or a good cup of coffee. If you have the right roast, and your palate might be different. You might taste chocolate in it. I might taste almonds. There's all different kinds of ways. One of the things that I've done, I told you that since COVID, especially, I get everything that's wrapped. They're sealed. Every cigar has to be independently sealed for me. Then when I get for the humidor at home, then I open them, then I put them in the humidor. Yeah. And then that way it limits, it's just for my own mindset, OCD, all that. But I think that, I think it's just a better way. I would suggest that with anybody right now. Look for the independently wrapped cigars. I think it's a better way to go. Doesn't mean that anything's wrong with the unwrapped, but just from a safety standpoint, at least from my standpoint. So what are your thoughts on that?
It makes you feel better, know. So, and most of the cigars are kept sealed somehow until they get to the shop.
Right.
So sometimes they will take them out of whatever wrapper they've come in and put them in the bin. The trouble is then you don't know who's touched them.
Right. And they don't, and which is older, which isn't. I mean, which is an older smoke,
Exactly.
And the other thing is too, is when you have people that are new to this and you're trying new things, and just be aware of it. I've had some cigars that have caused sinus infections for me. I've had some that have just been fantastic. The Gurkhas that I ordered, I had a series of Gurkhas that I ordered under your request or your recommendation. All of them are fantastic except one.
Okay.
I had 1 out of 10. That's a 10%. Big deal. One of them was just not of good flavor. And I don't know, and that could have been anything. It could have been the way it was rolled. It could have been the way it was stored.
Yeah.
And that one was in plastic too. So it really just depends on what you're, where you're at and everything else. So, but you're going to have, if you can get 1 out of 10 that are bad, that's a pretty good return on investment.
And they make them that like that, Ted. They will say, okay, well, we've got the person who might be beginning,
right,
or the lady maybe who might want a
right,
slightly milder one, and then we've got this guy way over here who wants to smoke dirt. So they will make them all along that range. And usually, if you'll ask, well, what's the strength of this cigar?
right,
And the people will tell you, or you can read it. And usually, there's a little guide down below that shows what the strength is in a catalog or something. And you can go by your own taste, but somewhere along that line, you're going to find something that either just was like, oh, that wasn't like smoking anything. I didn't get any enjoyment out of that at all.
right.
Too mild.
Yep.
And then you'll get the other one, you'll go, ugh, what the heck was that?
Right.
Get off. And I've had that as well,
I understand that.
So
we've had ones. I have very rarely have I had anybody ever say those cigars. No, I love the smell of cigars, because I ask them, can I smoke a cigar? Would you have, we're outside or whatever. Do you mind if I have a cigar? Oh yeah, no problem. And they were like, yeah, my grandfather used to smoke cigars, but man, your smell so much better than what he did. I said, it was probably a Robusto that he smoked. I said, these are real mild. I said, I try not to inundate anybody with my stench if I can help it. So,
I've only had one that I've had complaints about, and I didn't like that cigar myself either. So, yeah,
I've had other people say to me, you've, I wouldn't mind trying one of those, and they'll try it, and usually they'll only smoke half of it, which is heartbreaking to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know how much work goes into these. It's like these antiquated books back here. I know how much work went into these, creating these books, just physically creating them.
Sure.
Same thing goes. Of course, I'm gonna, if somebody wants a cigar with me, I'm gonna enjoy it with them. But it's like, God, and it is kind of not rude, but if you're smoking a cigar, you don't just, you've been slobbering on it for an hour, then you hand it over to somebody to try. It's just not good form. So, especially in today's world with COVID. So,
yes, exactly.
I'm not doing that.
When we buy different types in a shop, let's say, my wife and I will say, okay, you want to try mine? And I'll pass mine over to her.
Right.
And hopefully she never watches the show. But she's much wetter. So, so I have to take a Kleenex and wipe it off.
Right. And that's out of respect. Out of respect. Sure.
Yeah. But I would understand if she did it after I did it too, wipe it off. But you don't want to have something that's been in someone else's mouth.
Yeah, it's just nasty.
Unless you're married to them.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. But what I was saying, if somebody's going to try it, try to have 1 or 2 cigars. If you've been smoking for a while, I usually do that for, I was telling you, my family members come up or whatever to the lake, and they want to have a cigar with me. Some of them aren't prepared for the smokes. They're overwhelmed. It's just too much of a buzz or what have you. And
sure.
So, and that's something, don't be ashamed when you're a novice in this, if you don't feel right after you've smoked it, if you feel like you're a little lightheaded, or if you're just nauseous, you'll know. And if it just doesn't suit you, that's great. Nothing wrong with that either. This isn't about, none of us have an agenda. Karl and I don't have an agenda to have everybody smoke cigars. That's not what it's about.
We don't make any money off of this whatsoever.
We don't. We're doing it, for fun and to show people, hey, you know what, you might enjoy it. If you don't, that's cool too.
Sure.
And then, there's other things too. We want people to, if we have a good experience with a cigar, what tobacco we like, we're going to tell you about it in the future. And that's, there's going to be different points to this show, so it's enjoyable.
Sure.
It's a very safe place to enjoy a good cigar. I mean, that's the whole thing. Now, how far are you now on your cigar? I haven't smoked this one yet. So, okay. So that was,
rather slowly because we're talking. And
right. And I noticed, and that's the other thing too. Usually when you don't talk, when we haven't been talking, I usually don't relight my cigars. Usually I don't have to.
Okay.
If they're rolled properly, you shouldn't have to. And that's something that they do go out though. If I'm talking with somebody, I'm probably every 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be out. And I have to, it doesn't matter which cigar you have. But when we're normally, just sitting outside or whatever, I'm very rarely do I relight a cigar. Exactly. Rarely.
Yeah. You really don't have to most of the time. I've I've stopped smoking a cigar, gone out and done
Right.
something,
Right.
come back, and it's still lit.
Yeah. Yeah. I know guys that some people they cut the ends off. When it's burnt, they'll cut them off and then they'll continue smoking it later in the day.
Yes, that's
But
what
these, they
these
do have a shelf life, right? They do have a shelf life though, and
Yeah.
that's something where I know that what I've found, if it's past say 6 hours, forget it. I'm done. I can't. You can tell how stale it's gotten, or it's gotten some type of feedback from the smoke that was inhaled through it, and it doesn't taste the same. Or it sits out in the heat. The heat's not good for it because it causes bitterness and
Yeah.
tons.
Sometimes if I have to relight, I will pull in the air to light it, but then the next couple puffs I will blow out.
Yeah, right.
Like a balloon blowing out, and that blows that old smoke out.
Right.
And so that will help a little bit with that.
And that's part of the art form of it too. I mean, and that's something you learn. You don't, I know that when I was driving in my car for the first time smoking a cigar, I noticed that if I put the defroster on and I cracked the window, it would cause a vacuum, right? And it would just suck that air out. I didn't have any smoke in the car at all, you know. And I noticed that I was taking it and I was blowing it out the window and it was going right. So it was good in that regard, but that's something I learned. I wasn't expecting to pick that up. And those are the little nuances that I think you're going to pick up as a cigar smoker. I know that there's a way to flick these to get the ash off that's differently than what you will with the cigarette. I see guys, they just, tap a cigarette and it just falls on. Sometimes these don't come off that easily.
Like a flicking underneath it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to get it on your pants.
Right. Or if you're wearing shorts, it's even more fun. Oh, geez, let me tell you, forget about it.
I usually just tap it off on the side of the ashtray.
Yeah, right. Me too. And usually watch which ashtrays you have too, because the plastic ones are not very suited for cigar smoking. They just get too hot, and you should have a porcelain, metal, or glass ashtray, something that's impervious to a little bit of heat. So, but the plastic ones stay away from, or paper or anything like that, obviously, because they burn a hell of a lot longer than you think. Just as a public safety announcement.
Exactly. Now I know you have beautiful ashtrays.
I do. I don't have one in here. What we'll do is we'll do a whole series. We're going to do a whole series on. I'll start bringing them out every week.
Okay. We have some old ones from way back, which we still use.
Good.
And then occasionally, when you buy a certain brand through one of the catalogs, you'll get an ashtray.
Right.
They'll give you an ashtray as part of the deal.
That's great.
And that's always great. I've got
good incentive to start smoking them, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can't even read what this one is. It's filled with ash. But it was a brand that I bought, and they said, hey, with this sampler, with this box, you'll get an ashtray. I'm like, okay.
Got it.
So you collect up a lot of stuff.
Sure. And that's good and bad. I mean, it depends. If you live in we're in a smaller setup now, so it would fine when we had a bigger house, but now it's, so we try to be creative with what we get. Now, as far as we're getting about that time right now, it's roughly been a little bit 45 minutes or so we've been on. What are your hopes for the channel? What are this show? What are you looking forward to presenting to people?
I'm really liking our vibe with relaxing, stepping back, enjoying a simpler pleasure.
Right. And not having to go out. I like the fact we can reach masses of people, and we haven't even left our studios or our libraries,
Yeah. And the idea that we are not offering pressure to buy a particular brand.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of the folks that do this because they have a shop.
Hardcore. Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. If you want to be capitalist about it. We're not.
And, they may be pushing a particular brand because that brand has sponsored them, And if that happens here, we will say it,
straight up.
Thank you, Piba, for sending us cigars.
Absolutely.
But we'll also talk about other brands because
Sure. And that's, that's what we do. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do on my channel that you're going to see this next few months on reviews for products and
Mhm.
and interviews for people, you included, which will have nothing probably to do with cigars. But I think that we have to be authentic when we're doing this, and that was one thing that you and I both discussed at the beginning. We
Oh,
want
yeah.
it to be a safe harbor, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better word, for new smokers or people that just want to understand the philosophy behind the cigar. One of the things I'm hoping for is I want to educate people on, um, the actual studying of what happened or how they created these cigars and how, I want to talk about Detroit and how big of a
Mhm.
big cigar foundation it was back at the turn of the century.
Mhm.
People don't realize how huge that was in Detroit. Fascinating to me. I find it so fascinating. And then to see where Havana is now and where Miami and all the different cultures, New York, everybody and where the cigar rolling is happening now. Um, and then so you know what you're getting. And I want to talk about a little bit of Cuba and what happened during that whole mess, and then where they took the seeds and where they grow them now. And
Okay.
just more so just information, not a documentary, but I want
Right.
people to feel like
Yeah.
they can understand not the political side of it, but the whole just the enjoyment. For me, at least, it's the enjoyment because I've learned all these things. It's
Right.
just part of the experience, Oh, that's so cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know they read that when they were rolling this, or those type of things. It's not all about
It
what's
helps
it.
you understand, like if you see something written on the band or something on the
Right,
box,
right,
and you say, "I wonder what that means."
right, right.
I've smoked one of these kind before, and it had that same word on there. I wonder what that means, and so you might, be pushed to do a little research into that,
Right.
and we'll cover things like that, I'm sure here.
Right. And we're going to interact with a lot of people too, because I know that in the comments,
Yeah.
as I'm saying this now, in the comments, if you guys want to ask questions or anything like that, we offer, um, full disclosure on what we know about cigars. We will be more than happy to tell you or share with you.
For
Or
sure.
if you have another input on what you're smoking, what you enjoy, what you might think somebody else might enjoy, let us know about that.
Exactly.
And yeah, we're just trying to be two guys that are just trying to enjoy good smoke.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I mean, I look forward to the next couple weeks. We're gonna have a lot of different things coming out. I don't know if we're gonna be doing this twice a month or once a month or what, but there's gonna be some really interesting things. It might end up getting busy to where we do it every week. Who knows? But we're just gonna play it by ear and just
Mhm.
put our fedoras on and light our smokes. So in closing, I want to thank everybody taking the 45 minutes to an hour to let us talk to them about these beautiful pieces of heaven here.
Oh yeah.
And we look forward to talking to you soon again. And I know Karl, I'm speaking for Karl, but I know he's nodding, so I'm sure he's agreeing. We wish you nothing but, a good smoke and enjoy yourselves. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you.